with you. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to an afternoon town hall meeting. This is something new for us that we wanted to try and see if this time worked well for you. Today, we'll be going through RentSpree, which some of you already saw. I recognize some of the names that are attending today as somebody who has attended in the past, which is great. That means you want to find out more information about it. Before I introduce Stephen, who will be speaking with you today, I just want to make sure that I remind you that we will be recording this and you'll have a copy of it available to you. You can find it on our YouTube channel. And I believe Fran pushes it out to you as well. You see Fran is hiding. Let me see your face for a minute, Fran. There she is. Everybody knows Fran. Fran is our marketing director, and she is responsible for putting all of these together. So we're very grateful for all that she does to get this information out to all of you. So, and if you have any questions, please put them under the Q&A at the bottom, and that's where we'll read all the questions as we go through. So, in order to get started, let me introduce to you Stephen. Stephen Pastores is a customer success manager at RentSpree. He works with RentSpree's partners, which include brokerages, state associations, and MLSs across the United States. And he's based in Los Angeles, California. Before he starts, let me just tell you, we've already got a great response. I think you already know that, Stephen, to RentSpree. So we're looking forward to you sharing even more information. And for those of you who didn't hear what Stephen said at the very beginning, he said for everybody who stays till the very end, there's a surprise. I don't know what it is. So it won't do you any good to ask me because I don't know what it is. So Stephen, I give it to you.
Thanks so much, Karen, and thanks, Fran, for all your help in getting this town hall set up for all of us. Today's topic is going to be improving your tenant screening process with Renspree. I do know some of you have already signed up and have started using it. Some of the content today is going to be a refresher, but we do have some new material for you. And some things have changed since the time I last spoke with you all on June 10th. So I wanted to share those updates as well. First, we're going to cover some key tenant screening points. Next, we're going to dive into the different steps of the tenant screening process. We're going to go over what's included with Renspree. We're going to do a quick little overview of how to screen, and then we'll take some time to answer questions at the end of the session today. So when we're diving into tenant screening, if you're an agent who's new to it or if you're a veteran, there's always some key points to consider. And the first is availability and accuracy of information. So when you're working with a tenant for a rental, you have to ask yourself, what information can you access from that tenant? First is going to be that rental application, and it's going to be your responsibility to verify the accuracy of all the data points on that application. It's also important to understand the laws and regulations that are specific to tenant screening, especially now that we're still fighting through the pandemic. It's really important to take into account local regulations. If you're not able to meet clients in person, you might have to do the transaction virtually. And then making sure that you're abiding by the Fair Credit Reporting Act and the Fair Housing Act. Those are two really important pieces of legislation to understand if you're immersing yourself in tenant screening. As far as the cost factor goes, you want to make sure that you're minimizing operating expenses. We had a webinar with the California Association of Realtors in which we discussed digital forms about 2 weeks ago. And we emphasized that working with a digital process is a sustainable solution, and it's a more secure solution than working with paper documents, especially in this day and age with COVID. Then the convenience factor, again, having a digital process cuts down on the setup time and turnaround time for getting those screening reports back. So we're going to talk about this in depth later on, but with Renspree, you do get those reports back instantly. So it's a huge time saver. Now is the busy season with the rentals. A lot of people are moving before the school year starts. So you having a process in place that is quick and easy is going to save your time and your client's time as well. Now, before the screening process starts, it's important to mention the screening criteria that you have in place for the property and then marketing the property. And we're going to give you a couple of different tips for property marketing. And then when you're having conversations with applicants, making sure that you're pre-screening them by asking them some light questions about their income, previous residential history, and things like that. During the process itself, that's when you have the chance to show the property. There's a couple of different ways for doing that. We'll cover those later on. And then collecting those rental applications and screening reports for each applicant over the age of 18. After the process is done, that's when you're going to want to verify applicant information, making a decision, then an onboarding, and then signing that lease. And Renspree can help with a lot of these points mentioned here on this slide. I'm going to show you a little bit more about that in a few minutes. Now, in terms of marketing, there are a couple of different points to consider. And the first is that the better quality content that you're creating for the rental, the better quality tenant you're going to attract. Now, a lot of realtors with COVID turn to virtual showings. So making sure that you have a high quality camera that can take pictures in 4K, 1080p resolution, and then making sure that you have a really strong internet connection if you're doing video streams of the property. Those are a couple of different points to consider. Posting online, we do have social media being used more and more often, and especially, if you have a lot of rentals in a college town like East Lansing or Grand Rapids, those college students are using social media more and more these days. So it's a really good tactic to consider using sites like Facebook Marketplace and Instagram for marketing. When you're marketing the property, you also want to make sure that you're sharing the screening criteria. So if you require a minimum credit score, you can mention that to the applicants. So that way, those who don't meet the criteria will take themselves off your list. Now, we mentioned social media, and this here can give you a couple of possible ideas for tapping into those channels. So on the left-hand side, we have Facebook. Facebook Marketplace, you can use that as a resource. It's very easy. Creating a Facebook account is free, and you can actually have the tenant just swipe through different pictures of the property. And if they have questions, they can just type them into the Facebook comments and you can reply back to them individually. Instagram, it also works very similar to Facebook in terms of swiping and scrolling. And then you can see that in this example, the agent has added some hashtags to that particular post. And one of the benefits of hashtags is that, for example, if you're advertising a property in Grand Rapids and you include the hashtag Grand Rapids in the post, an applicant can click on that hashtag and they can see, for example, the restaurants in the area, schools in the area, things to do, parks, and things like that. So hashtags are definitely a very valuable resource if you're getting into social media for the first time, because it opens up a couple of different views for the applicant to check out. LinkedIn, a lot of agents don't use Facebook to market properties. It's more of a social connectivity site. And as you can see from that last picture there, you are able to access different realtor groups and networks. So you definitely consider joining those if you want to get some ideas from fellow agents in your area and even outside of Michigan as well. Now, when you're pre-screening tenants, one of the questions you can ask is what you would like to know about the property. And this is really important because every renter can be a future buyer. So if you have a CRM software, that's customer relationship management software in place, what you can do is start to log those notes into the CRM. So if the client is asking, is there going to be laundry in the unit? How many parking spaces are there? Those are all things that you can jot down into your CRM. And later on, let's say in a year or two, when the client's lease is up, if they're ready to buy, you already have those notes ready. So you can kind of get them a better sense of what property may be the best fit. You also want to make sure that you're reiterating the terms of the rental. So if you're offering lease incentives due to COVID, make sure to outline those specifically. And then make sure that, again, that every adult over the age of 18 completes that application and submits a screening report. You also want to make sure that you're sharing the screening criteria and then giving each applicant room to talk. So make sure not to dominate the discussion. You want to make sure that you're getting the full history of each applicant. Everyone should have an equal opportunity to apply for the property. And then some general guidelines on showing properties. Make sure to check with current tenants for rules on entry. Try to give at least 1 day's notice prior to a showing. Schedule showings on Monday through Fridays and don't schedule them outside of normal business hours. Couple different options for showings. And then one option for scheduling these is called Calendly. That's Calendly. And Calendly is a scheduling application that you can download to your smartphone, and it lets applicants schedule appointments without having to confirm directly with you. So it'll basically pull your availability from your Google Calendar, your Outlook calendar, and applicants can just book a time with you to do a showing or an open house, depending on your availability. So you have an individual showing where you meet one tenant at a time, and this is a good option if you really want to have that one-on-one relationship. But then you also have the open house if the property has really high interest, let's say 10 or more applicants, you want to meet most of them at once. And then the block showing would be the last alternative where you would have multiple applicants schedule 10 to 15 minutes of time with you as well. Now, when it comes time to issue a decision, this is where Renspree can assist you. So we do have accept or deny notifications that can be sent directly from the Renspree dashboard. So when you're looking at your dashboard and the screening reports have already started coming in, you're going to see an accept deny button next to each tenant. And once you make a rental decision, the dashboard will update when that decision has been made and the status will update accordingly. So you can kind of see which tenants have been accepted, which ones have been denied, just to make things a little bit more organized for you. And then these are just some basic explanations of what each of those rental decisions signify. Now, then it would come time to sign the lease. And this is where Renspree can assist as well. I mentioned earlier on in the presentation that a lot of agents are using digital forms nowadays. And one of the benefits of Renspree that I'm going to touch on later on is that you can actually add lease documents and addendums to the program and add fields to them. So it's very similar to how DocuSign works. And that way you don't have to print out any forms. You can just have the applicant sign them digitally. So Renspree includes a couple of different things. So the core functionality, so basically our flagship service, is obviously our rental application and screening reports. Having a digital application cuts down on the time spent for the applicant. It shouldn't take them more than 5 to 10 minutes to complete it. And you can save it as a PDF to your computer once the client submits that. And you have access to those tenant screening reports instantaneously. So with our partnership with TransUnion, we are able to generate those credit scores, background checks, and eviction reports right away for you. And you can view them directly in the dashboard, and you'll also get an email notification once they are ready. And then again, as many of you who've used Renspree may know, there is no upfront cost to use our service. The only fee is passed down to the applicant, which is a $30 application fee. But we do give you the option to cover the cost for the applicant. And one instance you may want to do that is if you want to make a profit off the screening fee. So if you want to charge the applicant $50, you can continue doing so. And then you can just pay Renspree the $30 to actually run the reports. So we do give you that flexibility if you wish to do that. So just a little bit more information about that online application. So it's going to include a applicant's name, their ID number, so their SSN or their ITIN, their anticipated move-in date, and if there's going to be other occupants living at the property. It'll also ask applicants to provide their current and previous residence, and that's going to include their landlord address and the rent amount paid. They'll also have to provide their employment history, so current and previous employers, income and contact information, references, pet information, and then finally any miscellaneous data, such as if they're a smoker, any bankruptcies and things like that. And then one of the benefits of Renspree's application is that the client can't submit it unless every field has been filled out. And we've all experienced that at some point where we ask an applicant to submit a form, they're missing information, we have to go back and ask them to start all over again, and it just delays the process. So with Renspree, you always are getting a complete application back from the applicant. Closely tied to the application is a screening report. And our screening report first includes that credit report and score. And one of the common questions that we always get is this a soft pull or a hard pull? And the answer is that Renspree provides a soft inquiry into the applicant's credit. So what that means is that their credit score is never damaged when they are screening, which is great, especially if they're applying to multiple properties. But that doesn't mean you get the short end of the stick. So you're going to get the full credit score, payment history, trade lines, collections, inquiries, fraud indicators, and so much more. So all that data, again, is available instantaneously. We also include a 44-state background check, which does include Michigan. And that includes national criminal record searches, a most wanted database search, and a sex offender registry search as well. We also have the eviction report, which covers all 50 states, including Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico. And then as an added bonus, we do have applicant identity verification. So what that means is that every applicant who's applying through Renspree has to verify their identity by answering a couple of challenge questions. These are very similar to what you would be asked by a bank if you're trying to set up your account. For example, what's the color of your first car, things like that. And if the applicant fails to answer those questions correctly multiple times, they're going to be locked out of the system. So it's basically just an extra layer of security for you to ensure that each applicant is who they say they are. Now, two other features that I want to make known are first, the digital signatures feature, which I mentioned briefly. So basically, in a nutshell, realtors are using digital forms more and more these days, especially with COVID. So what we do is that you are able to upload a PDF file of a lease agreement or any other addendum that needs to be signed by the applicant. And you can add forms to it. And those forms can be fields for initials, signatures, any notes. Those can all be added to the form. And then it can be sent to the applicant electronically, and then they will submit it back to you with a digital signature. And then once they submit it, you can get a notification as well. So you can kind of track who has signed and who hasn't signed the document. And this is a free service that's included with the core functionality of Renspree. So you don't have to pay extra to use these digital signatures. And again, they're fully customizable. So if you want to add multiple fields to your document, you can do so. And there's going to be no charge for that. And this next feature, I know many of you have asked us about it. And Renspree Pro, in a nutshell, helps you to have the client upload documents. If the applicant, for example, is self-employed, need that extra verification like bank statements, pay stubs, tax returns, things like that, they can upload those documents through the Renspree Pro portal. And even better, we provide automated reference checks. So what we do is that we reach out to the applicant's landlord and employer via email. So that way we can verify their current employment, their pay, and also their current residential information as well. And if you take a quick look at the bottom left of the screen, we have a special code available for you. So the code is going to be Realcomp 2021. So if you want to sign up for Renspree Pro, just simply plug in that code on the bottom left of the screen, and you're going to have access to a full year of this extra service. And again, we've gotten a lot of great reviews about it. Please take advantage of it. Give us some feedback because it's really going to save you a lot of time, especially when doing those reference checks. So with that being said, I do want to jump into a quick little demo of Renspree. And one thing that I do want to point out before we jump into that is that we now have a Renspree button available for you on the Clarity dashboard. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what that button looks like. So now, once we're logged into Clarity, we can see that we have our Realcomp applications and our partner applications. So Renspree is going to be listed under partner applications. So if we click the Renspree tile, it's going to take you directly to the Renspree dashboard. And if it doesn't take you to the dashboard, that means you don't have an account set up. But what you can do is that you can use your Realcomp credentials to create your Renspree account. So you don't need to have a separate user and password. So it's basically called SSO, and it's going to make your life a lot easier because everything is integrated and talks to each other. So it makes it a lot easier for you to manage everything. So now that we're on the Renspree dashboard, we have a couple of different options. And the first that we can see here is to add a new listing. One thing that I do want to point out is that come September, we're going to be rolling out the full integration. And that what that means is that you're going to be able to enable Renspree screening directly when you add a property into the MLS. So it's going to be basically a field that you have to click yes or no on. And then that way it'll save you those extra steps. So for now, I do want to go over the functionality of Renspree within the dashboard, just so you're familiar with it as well. So if we click add new listing, all we have to do is add in just the basic property information. So we'll go ahead and do this. And it's very simple. Just make sure to enter the property address, the state, and then the zip code. And then once we click next, we can specify the property type, number of bedrooms and bathrooms, the monthly rent, and then the square footage, and then the year built as well. Once we've entered in all the property details and we click next, the property is now going to be added to your Renspree dashboard. And again, once the integration is live in September, you can skip that step because the property will automatically be synced from the MLS. But for now, we can see that we have a couple different options for using Renspree. So the first is screen new tenants. So we're going to go ahead and click on that. And here you can see that we can pick and choose which items to include as part of our screening package. So one thing to point out is that you can kind of pick and choose which items to include and exclude as part of the screening. So you can see that I can not include a credit report and score if I want to, just a rental application. But once I do want to add those extra items, I can as well. And this property is based in New York, and you can see that the screening fee is capped at $20. But if I want to add a property in Michigan, all I have to do is just add a new listing, and we'll just add a new property in Michigan here just in case. And then once we hit next, we can just update the information again. Square footage, year built. And you can see now when we click screen new tenants, the screening fee is updated to $30. So it's very simple again to use. You can kind of pick and choose which items to include as part of the screening. We're going to go ahead and pick all 4 of these options for now. And then once we click next, we have a couple different ways for notifying the applicants to screen. So the first is to request the reports via email or mobile. This is, again, very simple, just a matter of typing in the emails into the gray boxes. And once we hit send request, the applicant is going to receive that notification email, and they can start filling out the application, which takes them 5-10 minutes. We also have the option to share an apply link, which can be copied and pasted anywhere onto the internet. And then finally, we have a print screening handout here as well. And all the applicant has to do is just scan this QR code with their smartphone, and they can actually start applying from their phone if they're doing an open house with you. So we give you a couple different ways for notifying the applicants that they can start screening. And if we click go to listing, we can see that the requests have been sent, but the renter hasn't actually started the process. And once they do start it, the status will update accordingly, and you'll be able to see if they have their reports coming in and their monthly income as well. And one thing I do want to point out is that the screening reports will be live on the dashboard for 30 days. But we do give you the option either to save them as a PDF. You can also print out a copy of them, or you can share them once with another landlord or agent if the applicant is applying to multiple properties. So we do give you a lot of flexibility in terms of looking at the report after it has first been generated. You know, obviously applicants are applying to multiple homes, so we want to make sure that the system is helping them out to a certain extent as well. Now, some updates that I do want to mention since the last time we spoke. Obviously, we have that tile set up on the Clarity dashboard, but we are introducing a couple of new features, and the first is called Agent Whitelisting. So previously, if you were using Renspree, you would have to validate your identity as an agent by either calling in to our support hotline or by sending us an email. And now, if you have a brokerage or MLS affiliated email, you will be whitelisted. So you don't have to worry about validating your agent identity anymore. So that's definitely a great time saver that will be rolled out in the next couple of weeks. And a lot of you have also asked in the past, is it possible for me to screen a tenant without a property? So can I basically just get some screening reports without having the applicant applying to a rental? And the answer is yes. So in the next couple of weeks, you will be able to see on the dashboard that you can actually start screening a tenant without having to enter a property address first. So for those of you that are working with a renter who doesn't have any idea of where they want to apply, you can actually get those screening reports before getting started with showing them rental properties. And that's based on feedback that we got from agents as well. We also are working on a syndication service. And just to give you a quick little idea of how that works, that is going to show you and the applicant a list of available Renspree properties in any particular area code. So that is something that we are very excited about. We will definitely share updates with the team once that is ready to be rolled out. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and go back to my presentation. And just a quick reminder. So we have the URL for Renspree here. It's going to be rentspree.com/realcomp. And again, as mentioned in the beginning, Fran is working on adding a Renspree button to the Realcomp homepage. We also have that tile set up for you on the Clarity dashboard, which has a single sign-on. So you don't have to use another set of credentials to create your Renspree account. And then finally, in September, we're going to be unveiling the opt-in integration. So basically, you'll be able to add a lease listing and then specify if you would like to collect a Renspree screening report for that listing or not. Now, we did have a surprise available for all of you, so thank you so much for staying until the end. And we are going to be giving away a $50 Amazon gift card like we did last time. So thank you so much, everyone. The way that we're going to pick the winner is that we're going to receive the list of registrants, the list of attendees from Fran and Karen, and we're going to pick one lucky winner from whoever attended today's presentation. So stay tuned. We're going to give we're going to pick a winner later on today, and we will notify Fran and Karen via email. So stay tuned for that. And that is all I have for today, and I will pass it back over to Karen.
You know, the phrase of the year is you're on mute. Okay. So let's look at the questions we have. I see we already have several. Let me spread everybody out here. Okay. If we're in a position of having multiple similarly qualified applicants and are forced to just pick one of them, but all qualified, how should we issue the rejection to those who qualify but we did not choose? I think you can probably just talk about how you can communicate with those that didn't necessarily get the lease or get the
Yes.
property. Okay.
Yeah, so we have, you're going to see all the list of applicants, and what Renspree lets you do is that you can send an accept or deny letter to each of those applicants. And you have to be careful though, because you can't deny an applicant based on a background check. So that is, going into like legal water. So make sure that you're not denying a tenant just because of something on a background check. But oftentimes what landlords do is that they'll choose the first qualified applicant. So whoever screening report comes in first, they usually go with that individual. But I do want to encourage you to reach out to a attorney or landlord lawyer about that, just in case you have any doubts.
Okay. Is the application $30 per applicant if there are 2 or more adults? That's a great question.
Great question. Yes. So the application, well, actually to clarify, so the application only is free. But if you're requesting an application and credit report, then yes, it would be $30 for each adult over the age of 18.
Okay. Would it make sense that the applicant pays the $30 and have the report, so in case the landlord doesn't choose them, they have it for another property?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that, we built this program with the renter in mind, knowing that renters are applying to multiple properties. And with the saving the report as a PDF, if the applicant doesn't get accepted to their first choice property, you have the report as a PDF already. So why not, email it to another landlord and they can have the same information without having the applicant, going through the whole process all over again.
And which states are not included in the background check?
That is a great question. And I will get you the answer in one moment. So I know definitely Michigan is included on there. Okay.
And what Deborah says is that way the landlord nor tenant is needing to pay multiple times. So the person who is applying, if they print it out and keep it, they would be able to use that if they're working with an agent. The agent can keep that form even and use that moving forward with other applications. Is that correct, Stephen?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Working on the answer for the background check here.
I think your dashboard, Katja, is you have a separate dashboard at RE/MAX Classic. I'm assuming you're at RE/MAX Classic. So we need to find out, Fran, how she can add that at RE/MAX Classic. They have a separate dashboard from ours, I believe. So we'll need to find out how to get that added for you.
Okay, everybody. So I have an answer for you on the background check. So states are going to be Delaware, Hawaii, Kentucky, Massachusetts, South Dakota, and Wyoming. So those are the 6 states that
Okay.
Not included.
Okay. Okay, do those one more time.
So we have Delaware, we have Hawaii, we have Kentucky, Massachusetts, South Dakota, and Wyoming.
Okay. And what's the cost for the service that you talked about after the trial, Stephen?
It's going to be $9.99 a month, and that's for a Renspree Pro.
$9.
$9.99. $9.99.
$9.99, not
Yeah.
$999.
No, $9.99 a month. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just making sure.
Mm-hmm.
When we use it through Realcomp, do we have to pay for it as a user? You do not. It is a service that we are providing for you through Realcomp. You have to pay if you want you call it Pro, the
Renspree Pro.
Pro,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
for the basic program, you do not have to pay for it through Realcomp. This to pass along landlords who are not on Realcomp or Realtors. I'm not sure what you mean, Janet. I'm not sure what you mean. Maybe you could clarify that. Will this work for commercial rentals as well?
Still working on that.
Okay.
It is only for residential properties now.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so just residential. Okay. And Andrea says, would you please talk a bit more about the rent estimate?
Yeah, absolutely. So the rent estimate reports are $19.99 per property, and those are provided in partnership with Rent Range. So that's RentRange. So Rent Range provides you with that report. It's available instantaneously, and it gives you a snapshot of the vacancy trends in the particular neighborhood, how long the properties have been on the market, and then, some statistics that can help you determine how best to price your particular property.
Okay, and how does the landlord receive the tenant screening information?
So if you're the agent and you're forwarding it to a landlord, the landlord will either get the PDF file from you directly, or if you share it from Renspree, they're going to get a notification email from Renspree saying that, X agent has shared reports with you. That's how that would happen. That's how the landlord would be able to access those reports.
Okay. Yes, you will get a copy of this, Terry. This will be made available. On screening tenants, I don't have option of criminal records. Why? Is that part of it? Stephen?
Yes, the criminal background check. Yeah, you should have that as an option. Always have it as an option.
Okay. So if you're not seeing it, then you need to give us a call and we can help you with that.
Mm-hmm.
With Renspree Pro, can we have a request for more than 1 month of bank statements and pay stubs?
Yes. So there's no limit to how many documents you can request with the Pro service.
Okay. I signed up for Renspree Pro. It now says it expires tomorrow, but it was supposed to be a year-long trial. Was it a year-long trial?
Yeah, I will check in on that. I might have to provide a new code, but I will check on that.
Okay. All right. We'll let you know, Richard.
Yep.
If landlord requires pay stubs, this would be sent in a separate email if Renspree Pro is not used. That's the question.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Otherwise, if they had Pro, then it would all be included when they send the information to the landlord.
That's right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If the person is reported as a sexual predator, we are not allowed to reject. Is that true? I don't know.
That is a great question, and I'd have to defer to a lawyer on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If somebody is a criminal background check, why can't we deny? I think we are getting into questions that really need to go through your attorney. I'm not sure that we're not qualified to answer those. He says he's
Yeah,
worked in the leasing office, and that was one of the reasons to deny the applicant. I think you just want to make sure, though, is what you're saying, right, Stephen?
absolutely. Yeah, every state is different. California has pretty strict laws, but do definitely make sure that your attorney is qualified for your particular state.
Do we have to be a member of the Board of Realtors to use your service? Well, this presentation is for everybody who is a subscriber of Realcomp, and to be a subscriber of Realcomp, you do have to be a member of a Board of Realtors. So that's how I'll answer your question, Jason. To get to Realcomp, you come through one of the boards of realtors that own us. Can I choose which applicant gets the credit report requirement? I deal with international clients. They don't have credit in the US, so running a report won't work for them.
Yes. So we can only run a report if we have either an SSN or an ITIN. So if they're an international applicant, you would have to use another way to screen those folks.
Okay.
Great question, though.
I know it. Does the application fee apply to a married couple? Somebody asked me this before too, and I didn't know the answer.
$30 per adult.
Per adult, whether they're married or not.
Whether they're married or not. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are we as agents, not property managers, seeing the tenant social security and driver's license numbers as a part of the process?
Yes. So you will see the applicant's SSN.
Okay. I didn't think they would, but how do we pay the $30 application fee? Who is the check payable to? Doesn't the applicant pay online?
Yeah, all online. So no cash, no checks. All you need, or all the applicant needs, is a credit or debit card. That's it.
Okay. With the rollout of applications without a property, can a tenant's agent send those applications to the landlord upon deciding on a property? Let me get this right. With the rollout of applications without a property. Okay, so they have an application that's not specific to a property, but now they want to send those applications to a landlord once they see a property. Okay. Can they do that? Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So the screening report itself will never have a property address tied to it. That just benefits the renter, because if the landlord sees another property, they'll be like hesitant. So it's best to just have it as a general report.
Is it best to have the buyer's agent pull this info and supply, or the listing agent, since this is available to both? Huh.
Great question.
It is a good question.
I don't think we can make a recommendation either way. I think, yeah.
It seems the person representing that person would probably be the one to take them through the process. But again, you might want to check with your broker, or, just to see what the policy is within your office.
That's right. Yeah.
One of the screens mentioned TU reports. What is that?
TU, it is short for TransUnion. So TransUnion is the integration partner.
And again, just briefly, Stephen, what's the difference between regular and pro?
So regular is our flagship service. So you're going to be getting those rental applications and credit report, background check, and eviction report. No charge to access those, since the fee is passed on to the applicant. And then Renspree Pro, we're going to check on the duration of that coupon code to update it from a month to a year. But with Pro, you are able to get document uploads. So those extra docs for verification, like bank statements, tax returns, pay stubs. And then you're also going to be able to have those automated reference checks done. So Renspree will reach out to the applicant's employer and landlord to verify the information on their application is correct.
It's another interesting question, but I'm not sure we can answer it. What happens if the applicant will not be the occupant? Perhaps it's a student with no credit and the parent is applying for the child.
I believe we do have an option on the application for a guarantor, which would be the parent.
Okay.
Yes. Because that does happen, especially if you're renting out in college towns and things like that, where you need to have that extra security. Yep.
Will the states that you mentioned that are excluded from the check eventually be included?
I'm not entirely sure. That's up to us. I think it's due to legislation within those specific states.
Okay. Okay. And when and how do tenants pay the $30? I think we covered that. If you want to just mention it again though, Stephen.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way that it works is that you send an email request to the applicant. They receive the email, they fill out the application. And then at the end, before they click submit, that's when they're asked to provide the payment information. And I did touch upon briefly, if you want to, make a profit on those screening reports, what you would do is that you would select me when it comes time to do the payment options in the beginning. And what that would trigger is that the applicant would be sent the request and they would be able to submit it. And then once you get the email notification that it's ready, you would be asked to pay the fee to actually open the reports. So that's how those workflows differ. But it's basically, the applicant doesn't have to pay anything if you click, I will cover the cost. And that's when you would collect that extra fee.
If I were to pass along Renspree to my friend who's a landlord and not a realtor, can they get access to Renspree?
Yes. And we do have a referral system. So if you know of any landlord who can benefit using Renspree, what you're going to do is that on your dashboard, there's a button on the left-hand side. It's called Refer and Earn. All you have to do is type in that landlord's name and email. And if they sign up for an account and start screening at least one tenant, you can get a $20 Amazon gift card. So definitely a nice incentive to share the product.
Is there a separate fee for the rent estimate option, or is that part of Pro?
It's separate from Pro.
Okay.
So it's $19.99 per report, per rent estimate report.
$19.99 per report.
Yeah.
Okay. Can agents screen tenants for their personal rentals that are not listed on Realcomp? Yeah, the screening doesn't have to be tied to a property, correct?
Correct. Yep.
So I would say yes. Does Renspree have an app?
Mobile app. We are working on that.
Okay.
Working very hard, but not yet.
Okay.
Getting there.
What was the cost for an agent? Well, for the basic system that is available through Realcomp, there is no cost. If you want Pro, it's $9.99 a month. And the first month is the first month a trial?
Yes.
Yes. So you get the first month to try it. And then if you want it after that, it would be $9.99 a month.
Yep.
Can we get a list of what Renspree Pro includes? Is that something that's easily available that we can make available to our customers, Stephen?
Yes. What I can do is I can create a quick little flyer,
okay,
maybe, or a graphic that'll show you what's included with Pro and how to use the code that I'm going to give you guys. Okay. And I'll get that done today.
Perfect. How can I add landlord information to share tenant information via Renspree? Landlord information to share tenant information.
So, okay, I think I understand the question.
Okay.
So if you're trying to share a screening report with a landlord, you can do that once you have the report open in front of you. There's a button on the dashboard. It's called Share Reports. And all you need to do is simply type in the name and email of that landlord and then click Share Report. And then they'll be able to access it from their email without the applicant having to pay again or for, having an extra email being sent from your inbox. So that's how they would get the access.
Yes, George, we'll have the video available. It'll be available on our YouTube channel, and Fran will send you a link as well, like we do for all of our town hall meetings. Can we charge a retainer fee in the system, and how would we collect? Yes, we talked about that, about how, go ahead, Stephen, you explain it far better than I do.
Yeah. So if you wanted, so the baseline fee for screening is $30. But if you prefer to charge the applicant $50 for whatever reason, you can just select, I will pay the cost of screening. And then the applicant would be able to submit everything without making a payment themselves. And then you would just pay the fee to Renspree when it comes time to actually open the report.
So you can charge the tenant the whatever fee that you choose.
Correct.
Okay. If you don't use RentSpree Pro, will the landlord be responsible for doing reference and employment check, or is that the agent's responsibility? I don't know that we can answer that.
Right. It depends on that particular, doesn't,
right.
Yeah, can't really answer that one. Depends on the situation.
Richard advises always check with the listing agent to see how they want the application. Thank you, Richard. What's the difference between, oh, I lost it, I'm sorry. Oh, between RentSpree and Pro. Okay, we have answered that a couple of times, and we'll get those details. Okay. Is there an expiration date on the $30 fee, i.e. applicant credit score changes or rental home volumes may be low?
Expiration date.
Okay, so once they pay for the report, if they want another one, they would have to pay again, I'm assuming.
Yeah, so we do offer a second screening free program. So just so everybody knows, so if the applicant is applying for a second home within 30 days of applying for the first one, they are eligible to get that second screening fee refunded. So they have to just email our support team to mention them, hey, you know, I received an email saying your second screening is free. I would like to obtain my refund, and then they would process it for them.
Perfect. If the applicant has occupants over 18, how would other occupants' credit score be pulled? Do they have to apply their emails separately?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, so everybody over 18.
Everybody over 18. Okay.
Yeah. What if they don't have access to the internet? I usually have applicants fill out paper apps. Can I go in RentSpree and enter the information for the tenant?
No, you cannot. You cannot, you're correct. You cannot apply on behalf of the applicant because they have to answer those identity verification questions.
You'll have to bring them to your office and sit with them while they do it. What's the difference between RentSpree and TransUnion's Smart Move service?
Well, so Smart Move is our integration partner, but they also have their own separate screening service. It's an interesting dynamic, but essentially it just comes down to pricing, really. So I mean, like in Smart Move is the program that we use to actually pull those reports for you, but TransUnion does offer screening as a separate service. But to my knowledge, they don't include a rental application. So you would have to get that rental application separately, and we offer it baked in to our system.
Okay. I skipped this one. Can we see a copy of the blank application? Can I go into RentSpree through Realcomp and see a copy of the blank application?
That's a great question. What I can do is I can send. I don't know if I can post it here, but I can send you a copy of a blank sample RentSpree application. And you know, when I send it, I might as well send across a sample of the screening reports as well. I think it would benefit everybody from seeing what those reports actually look like. So I will send over an email with a copy of a blank application and a copy of a completed report, just so you can see what those look like.
Okay. You can send that to Brandon.
Perfect.
And then we can include it with the video. Okay. Thanks, Brandon. Is there 24/7 access to support?
Not at the moment, but you are able to screen tenants at any time of the day. So the support hours, just so everybody is aware, are aware. So it's 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time, and that's, you guys are on the Eastern time zone, correct? So 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern.
Okay. I thought RentSpree Pro was free for a year with the code.
Yes, so we're going to work on getting everyone a code for that free year access.
Oh,
it should be updated by today.
Okay, there you go, Sue. Oh, excellent. Okay, I think we already did that. Oh, another question of, is it 1 month or 1 year trial? How long are reports available after they apply?
Great question. I don't think we've gotten that question so far today. So the reports are valid for 30 days on that dashboard. And the reason why is, we don't want to be holding on to applicant information for longer than we need to. And then obviously, credit scores do change sometimes from week to week. So that's the reason why we don't hold on to them for longer than 30 days. But again, you can definitely save them as a PDF. If you want to have them on your computer, you can print them out just to have in your office.
Okay. Are the rejections a letter that is customizable or standard verbiage?
They are customizable, so it allows you to choose a reason as to why the applicant was denied. So if it was based on insufficient income, that can be noted. And those accept deny letters are all FCRA compliant as well. Just something important to note there.
Okay, so Candy wants clarification. Is it a year or a month that Pro would be no charge?
It'll be a year. Yeah, 12 months of Pro. Mm-hmm. We're going to update that code and resend it out.
Okay, thank you. And Richard said you are correct. Smart Moves does not have an application you can use. Do you pull all 3 credit reports?
We do not. So we only partner with TransUnion, not Equifax or Experian, just TransUnion.
Okay. For applicants that have a lock on their credit with TU, are you still able to get their scores and reports? If not, what is the process to follow?
The process is that the applicant would need to call TransUnion to unfreeze their credit. And, it is possible for a landlord to deny an applicant just because their credit is frozen. So definitely keep that in mind. So the applicant would definitely have to contact TransUnion to remove that freeze on their account.
You're going to like this one. It says, I've been using Renspree since January and their support team is fantastic. I always speak to a real person. And Sue has been a friend of mine for many years and she wouldn't say it if it wasn't true. So thank you, Sue. Appreciate that.
Love to hear that. Love to hear that.
Okay, we've answered that. Thank you for your presentation. Great benefit to realtors. Brandon and I are fighting over the questions again. Oh, well, I don't think we have any more questions, Fran, do we? Oh, maybe I got to move you up. Hang on. Oh, there you go. Okay. We've seen all those. Thanks. You're welcome, Janet. I think, Fran, have we covered them all?
I did want to clarify one more thing about the SSN. So kind of important. So the application that you get back from the applicant does not include the SSN listed on it. So the SSN is only used by Renspree to verify identity. So those challenge questions. So if you would need to collect the SSN for whatever reason from the applicant, you would need to contact them directly.
So the agent does not have anything that shows the social security number on it?
Yes. So the application that Renspree provides does not list SSN info on it.
Okay, because I think we said it did. But now,
Yeah,
but it
I want
doesn't.
to
Okay.
clarify.
I thought
Yeah.
I thought that was the case, so maybe I asked the question wrong. Um,
So just for clarification, and I know you just addressed this, but the code, the Realcomp code,
yeah.
so that would entitle a Realcomp subscriber to use the Renspree Pro product for 1 full year at no charge?
Yes.
Okay, and then the $9.99 comes in after that? After
that. Yeah, and it's
Sorry,
a cancel. Correct. It's a cancel anytime service. So if you use it for a full year, and then you use it for one more month, and then you want to cancel it, you can cancel it and then not have to worry about it any longer. And you can reactivate it whenever you want as well. So it's kind of like pay as you go kind of thing.
But that's after the year. It wouldn't be billed for a year.
Right.
And Barbara was a sleuth and found that there's a sample report under Explore Rent-Free Tenant Screening. And she found a sample report.
There you go.
Look at that. Welcome. Okay. Well, here we go. Wait. What's included in the 1999 report specifically? That's your...
I believe that the 1999 is a rent estimate report.
Yes.
Yeah. So the rent estimate report features vacancy trends. So days on the market, rental saturation benchmarks, comparable rentals in the area, rent trends by bedroom and type, things like that. And it's all provided by Rent Range. And that as an a la carte service. So it's again, pay as you go, depending on how often you need it.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? I think we've got them all. Wait, let me make sure. Is Rent Rage is a service used by rent appraisers? I don't know, are you familiar with Rent Rage?
I'm not, but we could definitely find out more information for you. They're pretty responsive over the phone. Rent Range, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm. We just spoke to them yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we'll get you some information on that too. Okay, well, I don't see any more questions coming in, Stephen. Thank you so much. I think that was a lot of great information to be shared. We're really excited to get the full product up and running and integrated with our listings, and it's going to make it even easier for the agents to use Renspree, and we'll be even better partners than we are today.
Absolutely. And I will provide that updated Renspree Pro code for everybody.
Okay.
And if anyone has any feature requests, anything that you would like to see us add to the program, or if you have a testimonial, we would love to talk to you and hear your perspective on that. We can even feature you on our website or social media. So if you're interested, definitely reach out to me.
It looks like one more question popped in. Do you provide an address for the $19.99 report?
Yes. Yeah. So if you're requesting a rent estimate for a particular address, that address will be provided. So
Stephen, how long will they be able to use the code you're going to give us to get the year for free? When will that end? When will somebody's asking if they sign up in November?
Great question. Yeah, so it'll be available until December 31st. So if you use it on, let's say, December 30th, you'll get that full year.
So everybody you got to go on in there, and once we get the new code for you, and we'll publish that, and sign up before the 31st of December, which sadly is right around the corner.
Oh, geez.
I know. I don't like it, but okay. Well, thanks, everyone. thanks for joining us today. Again, this was kind of like a new trial for us to do this in the middle of the day. We've got a couple other ones on schedule, so watch for information about those, and you can sign up to join us as usual. And we'll be sharing a lot more information. So thank you, Stephen, very much.
Thank you so much, Fran. Appreciate
All right, thanks,
it.
Franny.
Have a great day.
All right, bye, everyone.
Bye.